viewers. I'm Caterina and we're really happy to have you back in the studio today. And I want to thank you for all your thumbs up, your comments, and especially for your subscriptions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so glad that you're here. And today I want to share with you my number 5 journal, which is an old, record book. So something that you would record accounts and things in. And the reason I wanted to share it with you today is to kind of piggyback on the last video that we did, and that was on transfers and our transfer videos, because this book is chock full of transfers. So we're going to page through it right now. So I chose the number 5 because at the time it was my 5th journal, and I just particularly liked the 5, and I liked the way that the patina has gathered on the number. It's just an old house number, and I loved the integrity of the journal. And even though it's starting to chip, I just thought it was really yummy. And so I used an antique ribbon, which is starting to crumble, and I'll have to replace that sometime, but I absolutely LOVE love it. And the back, as you can see, it's absolutely one of my favorites. And so the reason that I chose this is because of all the transfers. I wanted to share with you the opening pages, which are just, it's old wrapping paper, and then the January page. And these are both transfers, actually 1, 2, 3 transfers. And what I love about doing transfers is that you can use antique images, and these were off old postcards. And I use them, and of course they don't come out completely clearly, so that gives me the opportunity to go back in and use my colored pencils or pastels or watercolors or whatever to create something that looks a little bit more vivid, and even to redo something and create something completely new, which I love to do. This was about listening to my dreams, about wanting to go to France and wanting to go to Paris, and just listening and knowing that someday I would get there. So the last spread that I shared with you was January, and normally in January now I do a self-portrait, but I didn't do that. I hadn't started that process yet. But in February I always write myself a love letter. I've been doing it since I first started art journaling, because I think it's so important to cultivate that sense of self-love. It's especially important for artists because we're always putting ourselves out there, and we have to be very, very strong. And so this is a love letter to myself, and it is my younger version of me writing to my older version of me. And this is a transfer. I just cut off the nose and mouth, as you see, and just wanted to use the eyes, and about being windows in the soul, and the hair, which represents memories to me, flowing through both the pages, and of course time ticking on. And March I was beginning to work on my garden. You can tell the lily also represents me, because my name Giulio means lily in Italian. And so the butterflies flying free, these are both transfers. And as you can see, I did the transfers right on the journal. I really like doing that. So I journal write on the bottom, and then I put some kind of either acrylic paint or some kind of gesso over, and then I put the transfer down. And I really like the way it comes out. I like that it's got a sfumato edge to it. You can't completely see it, but it just looks so really lovely and yummy. Okay, then in April I was going through some personal changes, and so I decided to do a map, and I used paper. This is the background of paper, and then I tissue papered on top with lots of different kinds of tissue paper. And this is about being in uncharted territory, about trying to find my own way, and kind of moving through life and making a lot of personal changes in my life. And it's completely stitched, and then I glued it down into the book. So it's kind of a different spread for me. I just really, you know, one of the things about doing art journaling is to experiment and to try new and different things. That's really important. In May, I was making a lot of personal changes. I was getting ready to move, and so I was talking about building a new nest. And so this is a transfer of mourning doves, and this is a collage nest here. You can, well, you can't feel them, but I can feel the threads poking out from there. And I just love the way it turned out. Now this is a transfer on paper, and then I glued it into the book. So. And then in June, I was doing a lot of gardening and really working on the garden. And so these are transfers here of roses from my garden. These are all hand-drawn roses and flowers. And then, of course, the thorns that go through represent, you know, daily life and the things that you have to do and some of the difficulties that you encompass in life. But the rose remembers the gardener long after she is gone. And I think that's so true. Okay, in July, I had a ton of deadlines going, and I wrote deadlines, so many deadlines to meet. I feel rushed and at times just overwhelmed. And then again, butterflies, which have always been a very, just a personal transformation symbol, and they're directly on the page. And then I journal wrote over it, around it, and over, under, around, and through, basically. And on this page, this is one of those transfers that we did in the last video. This is the Omni Gel transfer that creates that kind of skin, and I simply backed it on paper so that it would be even lighter, but you can still see some of the brown coming through, and I love the yummy look of it. And then I'm big on stitching in journals and keeping pages together, so I did a blanket stitch, which leads us into August pages. And August, the garden was starting to shut down, and I was already having this sense of melancholy. I've been saying goodbye to my garden, noting the changes each day, that, you know, the plants are already exhausted. And this is a transfer, and this is a transfer. And I simply went back in with paint and colored pencils and just enhanced it. The background, of course, is a lot of different kinds of media and lots of different papers. In September, you know, as the light starts to shift and I was wanting to capture the trees, you know, that flickering light and just that, you know, as the leaves are falling and that kind of feeling of fall coming in. And so I drew this tree, and this little tiny piece of a tea bag says, "There is pleasure in the pathless woods." That's what I say. There's pleasure in the pathless woods by Lord Byron. And just writing about the different changes that were coming and things that I was going through in September, but capturing that speckled light. In October, I decided to create my own personal rubber stamp, which is a wing, and it says "Fly fast in the direction of your dreams." And these are transfers from a it was just a copy that I saw in a magazine, and so I did front and back of the woman with her wings, and it's writing about, my writing is about all the changes that are coming so quickly, and that I needed to, you know, speed things up and go in the direction of my dreams and where I wanted to go. Okay, in November, I was already feeling the threat of fall with no leaves on the trees, and I have this one special tree that I absolutely loved, and so I did 2 copies, mirror images, and writing about a soulmate effect, and about mirroring someone else, and all of my feelings about love and coming together and just some wonderful things going on. And then in December, the cold north wind blowing and lots of snow, and these are both transfers. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that these are transfers that I stitched, these two trees. So this is transferred on and then stitched through. And so this is a transfer, and this tree here is a transfer, and they're probably gesso on paper. And then this is handmade paper with stitches for the clouds coming in. And what I did was I lightly transferred them and then drew over the image because I really wanted it to pop out, and I really like the way it looks, that hand-drawn effect. And then the last page is the page, just like the front. And for those of you that do old books, the way I finished this journal was to just simply stitch all those pages that were left rather than ripping them all out, just so it would just keep the integrity of the book. And that is number 5. We're at Ciao for now. I can't believe it. It always comes so soon. But next time we film, the next vlog post will be our 50th vlog post. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's really great. And it will be the 5 questions, the 5 top questions that people ask me all the time. So we're gonna go over all of those. So I can't wait to see you next blog post, our 50th one. Very excited. Thanks so much for viewing.